Travis Wayne Goodsell. You may have heard about the woman who, as a missionary in the MTC, claimed she was raped by her mission president in a basement or someplace at the MTC. And she did not get justice. And so she showed up to his ward one Sunday and bore her testimony about how much of a bad person he is for raping her. And that was caught on camera and went viral. And then she was able to get a lawyer because of the press coverage. What is disturbing is not that she was raped by the MTC president as much as the role the church played in that. See, the church is not responsible for raping her or for her being raped until the church picked a side before justice was administered. When an accusation comes out, a person is claiming that they have been deprived of either and or life, liberty, property. Rape involves all three. Because he was an MTC president under the direction of the church, our legal system does allow for victims to include the church for compensation as well, or for criminal prosecution. As it appears, no criminal case was brought against the mission president, as time lapsed, and apparently there's statute of limitations for violent sexual assault, which seems disturbing. That people can just get away with it and allow mercy to rob justice. When it's not really mercy, you just learned how to cheat the system. But setting aside our current legal system and how it would operate, the person who wronged her was the mission president. And in our justice system, we're supposed to have the prosecution on the victim side. The defendant is supposed to get defense counsel, so that both sides get counsel for the case, criminally. Unfortunately, there are times where the prosecution just refuses to help victims, and thus the mercy robs justice. And as a result, the constitutional republic ceases to exist. Justice has failed. And so, yes, you might recognize these words. It's from Alma 42, verse 25. Alma talking to his son, Do you suppose mercy can rob justice? I say unto you, nay, not one whit. If so, God would cease to be God. Now, he's talking about an afterlife thing, but applying this in mortality, spiritual becoming physical, this is how I'm trying to help you understand it. Is that she was not given justice, he got away with it, and therefore our justice system ceased to be a constitutional republic. Simple. But when the church, when they found out about it, instead of allowing both sides to equally present themselves in court before making a decision, and then waiting for the results to determine how to proceed for the religion. Because if the mission president is being, lied about, you don't want the church to ruin his life before you find out that he was innocent the whole time. So the church needs to wait for justice. The church cannot take favorites one way or the other, because they don't know, they weren't there. It's up to the justice system to decide the matter. If he's found guilty, you got to excommunicate him, you got to remove him from all things and positions and whatever. Church doesn't do that, did they? And in this particular case, they sided with the mission president and helped to cover it up and prolong it so that justice was not served, and the mission president got away with it. Now, at that moment, the church becomes liable as an accessory for tampering with the criminal case. Because now the church has robbed this woman who's a member of the church, who was serving as a missionary for the church. She's been robbed of justice by the church too. And so not only is the justice system null and void for her, the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints ceases to be the true Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. Amen to their authority, as they suppose, because they denied someone justice. See how this works? In my particular case, I was all by myself. There were no prosecutors who would take my case against the church. They actually were involved with it. And so I went before the federal court here in Utah, filled out the forms, and in the end, the justices robbed me of justice. I wasn't even allowed to present evidence. They shut it down from the beginning. I was denied petitioning. They just pretended like they were allowing me to petition. I never got to petition. It involves presenting of evidence, and they denied that because the church ordered them to. And so as a result, the justice system of the federal court here in Utah are now accessories in robbing me of justice. The church got away with it, and I'm denied justice. And so both the church ceases to be the true church, and the federal court here in Utah ceases to be a constitutional republic, because they gave favorites to the church, protecting them from justice. It's a simple thing. If someone commits a crime against you, they steal something from you, and you find out that they stole something from you, you catch them with the item. If they deny it, you got to take it to court now, and now you got to prove that that was your item. Or they may try to say, "Oh, my bad, here you go." Well, you got it back, but it's now used. It's been depreciated. So you didn't really get your item back in full. You know, like they stole your car, took it for a joyride. There's some wear and tear that was done to the vehicle as a result. If you were to say, hey, I apologized, I give it back to you, what more do you want? Justice. Mercy cannot rob justice. People cannot get away with their crimes. Because if you let them get away with their crimes, they're going to do it again. Because they know that, oh, if they get caught this next time, and they'll try harder not to get caught next time, you know, they know that they can just give it back. We're even. No, you're not. And so that whole concept of justice is necessary for an ordered society. Without true justice, we don't have ordered justice. We have the Wild West, where people have to take matters into their own hands. However, that's illegal, at least in the state of Utah, to take matters into your own hands. Because they say, why didn't you go through the justice system? I did. You denied me justice. Well, tough on you. And again, Wild West. So it sucks not to have the cops or anybody in the executive branch help you with taking the matter to the prosecutors to prosecute the case against the person who wronged you. Such is the case with the slaughter of the unarmed black men in this nation by cops. And so as a Mormon, when you spread hate, you go behind your back, and I've heard it. People will talk about me on their apologetic channels, warning their followers to stay away from me. I'm an evil man. Don't know what I'm talking about. Well, they've wronged me. They've got to meet the demands of justice. Mercy cannot rob justice. I've been wronged. I've experienced damage. When people make hate comments and threaten my life, mercy cannot rob justice. The Meridian 12th Ward must be met with justice. YouTube, for programming their analytical program to censor me, to make sure that people don't see my videos by throttling my viewership. Mercy cannot rob justice. Just because they get away with it doesn't mean that they were in the right. There was no justice system to determine it. They determined it by getting away with it. And so by allowing others to send hate at me, to threaten my life, to make false accusations, and side with them, rather than being a neutral party and allowing the justice system to take over for us. And then making a decision after that. YouTube becomes liable now. It's a simple system. It's just nobody wants to practice it because they want to do what's wrong. They want to destroy our system of justice. And it's worked. They destroyed it. We have no justice in America. And likewise in the church. It's not the true church because of all the wrongs that the church refuses to make amends for, restitution for. They bailed on the Boy Scouts rather than taking responsibility. They provided bishops with a hotline to the church's lawyers so that the church can be protected rather than the victims who are Mormons, making themselves liable rather than setting the example mentioned in the Book of Mormon, which is supposed to be the keystone of Mormonism. And so Cuomo has a point. Justice needs to be first met out. But if the prosecution side are going to bypass justice and throw everything out to the public and let the public outcry pressure him to quit, that's not the justice system we're supposed to have. If he's guilty, let there be a fair trial. But we don't have a fair justice system. And so, yeah, maybe that's what he knows, is that if they take it to court, he'll be able to find some way to get out of it, and thus rob justice for those women if it's legitimate. And some are saying, well, everybody knows he's a bully. You know, he threatens people. He's like a mob boss, an Italian mob boss. Doesn't matter. That's not the crime he's being accused of. We see that with cops. Even here in Utah, where they arrest somebody when they're not really guilty of it, but they say that they are guilty of it, and they justify it by saying, well, they've most likely committed some crime at some other point in time. That's not how justice works. Who taught them this? Why are they police officers? So, yeah. Our system has failed, and the church just doesn't even bother to follow the Constitution or the Book of Mormon either. Yeah, they don't want to follow the Constitution either. So it's a simple thing. It's right here in the Book of Mormon. This is the only place where you'll see it. Mercy cannot rob justice. Otherwise, God would cease to be God. Otherwise, the church ceases to be true.